All right, so this is the outline of what we will discuss today. Okay, what I will discuss. This is the recap for the last session, last week that we discussed together. So what we discussed so far already was that there are certain prescriptive software process models existing nowadays from the long time ago, since the very beginning of software engineering time. Okay, and those are, for example, waterfall model, okay, incremental model, evolutionary model, and several other process model, and also the very last one that we discussed was called unified process. Every of these process models have certain kind of ways for us to follow in terms of phase, activities, things to do, documents to deliver, and so on. Okay, and they have some kind of course, how can we accomplish each of these as some kind of, as it is said, to be a process model, right? So it defines that, okay, the first thing we do is to collect user requirements. After we do collection of user requirement, we do this and we will do that. We produce this kind of specification. We follow this way, something like that. Okay, this is more or less what is described in software process model. And we already talked a little bit about Agile. And you have seen from the video already. Okay, we already talked a little bit about Agile. Okay, so we would like to summarize here a little bit more. Okay, in this perspective, what Agile is and what Agile is not. Shall we summarize together? Is and is not. Okay. What do you think Agile is? On this side first? Or you want to contribute on something it is not? Sometimes when you want to describe something, right, you can easily describe that it is this and it is that. Or you can say that it is not that as well. Okay. How would you describe Agile? Not framework, not process. Oh, okay. What else? Not a real development software. Okay, so it has some kind of belief. It's not specific. So it is flexible, right? You said it is flexible. Okay. So it is not rigid, right? Anything else? Product development methodology. It is or it is not? It is product development methodology. What does it mean? So it is a methodology. Then what you're saying? I'm writing what you said, okay? I'm not certifying anything yet. But then we will discuss. Or maybe we can also talk about what Agile focuses and not focuses on. Maybe is and is not is kind of difficult, right? But what does it value and what does it may it may consider something more important than another. Yes, actually there are a number of four things, right, that we will contrast one over another. Okay, and then we will talk about that. So we value working software. So it's not only is, right, but it focuses on working software rather than documentation. But it doesn't mean that we are not giving any value at all, right? But we make more focus on working software. What else? There are four, right? Anything that you recall? Customer? Customers must be happy. Okay. Okay, I think you got some idea, right? But let's look at it in more detail. So let me summarize one more time about the current situation in software development, which has strong needs on rapid development and delivery. What does it mean? As we discussed last time, when we talk about software development and system and project, information system and so on, most of the time nowadays, due to the competitive business environment and so on, it's very difficult, right? If we take too long time to deliver the software to a customer, it will be very difficult for business. So business wants rapid development and delivery to it. So that is real need. Another challenge and make this even more difficult for the developer. So this puts the stress to the developer that we need to make sure we get the software right in time or on time. But another factor is that business operation usually change a lot. The requirements usually change a lot. So in this changing environment, it is very difficult or sometimes it is impossible to deliver a complete set of software that fulfill the business requirements, fulfill the changing business requirements. And of course, why we cannot deliver a set of software that fulfill the requirements? Because then the requirements even itself are not stable, right? We talk about the requirements today. We get this set. We talk about the requirements again next week. We get different. Not totally different, but there will be certain different requirements and changing as well. So the requirements themselves are changing. How can we develop a software that are also dynamic to address these requirements? Okay. And this means these are the factors. Requirements are likely to change quickly and unpredictably due to external factors such as the fierce competitive environment that the business are in, and also maybe regulations, also new technologies, and also even changing customers. Customers have changing requirements or needs every now and then as well. Okay, so we can not develop software that can react to the changing of customer fast enough. And even things that you talk to the business before will be changing. So initial requirements you talk before will be changing when you talk in more detail. And what else? So this is about software requirements become changing every now and then. This is even in the case that when we deliver our software, the requirements also keep changing too. Okay, once you deliver the software can be considered to be outdated already too. Okay. So there is a problem of what is called plan-based development. We need to do something that is called requirements engineering. I mean, activities, requirement engineering activities. Then we produce what is called requirement specification, a set of documents elaborating the requirements of the software of the information system. And based on these requirement specifications, the team, the developer team will make software design and then do the implementation. So usually this is usual process, right? Start from talking to the customer, understanding and analyzing the requirements, then produce what we call requirement specification, then use this specification to design and then develop software. This is kind of common steps that we normally follow. But if there are certain changes in terms of requirements, because as we already said, right, requirements keep changing, what will happen? The design and implementation that follow this specification, oh, your software needs to be changed, right? So when there are changes, it means the requirements need to be analyzed again, understood again, and then related documents that involve the change need to be updated, and the design need to reflect the new change, right? So what does it mean? It means that there are things that we don't like. How would you like it? Suppose I assign you some homework assignments to do for you to do something. Then you submit your work to me. And I said, oh, I want to change the problem. I give you 5 problems to solve. Okay, problem 1, problem 2, and then you solve the problem. You show me your solution and so on. Could be mathematics, could be anything. Then I said to you, oh, these 5 questions, I want to change question 1. Replace question 1 that you already did with this new question. And also I want to modify question 5, maybe replace some figures from 200. Maybe you solve some mathematics, as I said, right? Change 200 to 500, change this to that, but just some small modification. But still, what will happen to you? You submit everything, you complete, and then I said I changed question 1 completely, and I changed question 5 partially. What would happen to you? Rework for sure, right? For question 1, you rework entirely. You throw away your solution of question 1 and then understand my new question 1 and then work on it. For the question 5, even though you still need to do some replace of the new data, new number, and even retested whether your solution works well with a new data or not, right? Anyway, it requires additional work for sure. Do you like it? No. You will for sure negotiate. No, professor, please don't. I already submit everything. Right? You will negotiate and you will try to resist everywhere possible to force me not to change. Right? Same for the user. You are developer, I am the user. I said to you yesterday, as I said, that is similar to building a house. I told you that I need 5 bedrooms, 5 toilets. one kitchen, one working room. I completely changed, right? Last time. I don't want working room. I want karaoke and home theater room. What will happen to you? You deliver me the house. Oh, you may need to redesign the room. What if I said, no, I don't want 5 bedroom, five toilet, five bathroom. I want 6. Oh, this is even worse, right? I want additional feature from your product. What to do, right? You negotiate with me for sure, right? And whether I will be happy to accept the current one or not, because I may say that, suppose let's say I change. Suppose I say that now I have a family with 2 kids, so I need 3 bedrooms. That is enough. Somehow I just come across that I want to take my parents to stay with me, so I want another room for sure. So my requirements change, and I really want the house like this, because then how can we stay, right? 6 people in one house with only 3 bedrooms. So we need one more room for sure. So you need to rework, readjust, and redesign, and so on. The same as software, because we already mentioned, right, that we want working software. When the requirement already changed, but you don't change the software, can it still be working software for the users? For example, look at the current SIS system. Suppose the current SIS system is designed and developed in a way that it has 2 semesters plus 1 intersem, right? Now AIT wants to change the semester system. This is just a story, okay, not a real thing. Okay, don't take it serious. We want to change it to a trimester system. We want 3. This is regular. This is kind of optional. So this means in the current system, this 1 intersem is optional. You student enroll or not enroll is fine, right? But the two semesters are regular. You must enroll if you are regular student. But we want to change to a trimester system, meaning that we have 3 regular semesters. Every student take 3 regular semesters, and also the period change from January to March only, or something like that, and then so on. Shorten of the semester time from 15 weeks, 16 weeks to only 10 weeks, for example. Okay, what happened? For sure, your SIS or our SIS need to change. Even the number of maximum credits students can enroll must be reduced. Either the period of enrollment will be reduced. Even students are required to take 3 semesters registration per year. These are also changing. If we don't change the software, then we just need to throw away the software, right? It doesn't work with the new requirement anymore. This is a real situation. Sometimes we react because of the government regulation. Sometimes we react because, oh, now we discover that students feel more comfortable to study shorter period and then more frequent and reduce number of credits and so on. So we want to answer the market better, the needs of the customer better. But then the software must change. Okay. So this is what I already said. Requirements keep changing. And these are the situations that requirements will not be stable. Now your software works well. with the previous set of requirements. There'll be ongoing changes happening. There'll be additional things we need all the time. So that is the current situation in the real business and how software and information system need to react fast. Okay, so we will talk about Agile method. How can this Agile method be something that will be helpful in this kind of situation? The Agile has been initiated, I mean, the term and also the idea, the concept of Agile, okay, has been popular in the past 10 years, has become very popular. But the starting point was that from the long time before, we do have a lot of documentation work when we develop software. And we also have very fixed and rigid process model, such as the waterfall model, fixed that, okay, we need to complete this phase 1 of software requirement analysis. Then we deliver this set of software specification. Then we strictly follow another activity and phase and so on. This is very fixed and rigid. And that is considered to have or involve a lot of overheads. Overhead means something that you do extra, right? And it perhaps have less value, contribute to the final product. All these things require time, require effort, but perhaps have little value in the final outcome of working software. Some of the activities are kind of too much. Okay, so it has led to the concept and the creation of Agile method, which that time people thought that, hey, why don't we focus on the code? Because code is something that makes the software work. Rather than just a lot of lengthy documentation and the design document that draw diagram here, draw diagram there, and so on, right? And we should also focus more on iterative approach rather than waterfall and sequential, in which we must complete everything perfectly in previous phase before we can move on to the next phase. But the iterative work or iterative method encourage teams to just rapidly complete one thing. And then we do kind of refinement, right? Improve and refine the current version or the first initial version first. So release some version, then we fix, improve and refine. That is perhaps the iterative mechanism for the idea for this iterative mechanism. Okay? And that is what I already mentioned. Deliver working software quickly, because once users see something, they will tell you whether they like it or they don't like it, and whether you should change or you should continue with that version. Okay. And evolve this to meet the changing requirements. The key thing is that sometimes we need to really, if we want working software, means software that user will use, right? We really use them. We need to really understand their needs. Otherwise, we cannot develop something that they want. Okay. So the aim or the goal of Agile is to reduce overhead in the process. Whatever that considered to be overhead or something extra and do not contribute to the final output, final product, then they try to minimize them, including documentation if they are too overwhelming. including also some other protocol. Okay. And focus more on the way to respond to changing requirements. Okay. Because we need to admit that requirements will change. Accept it. This is the truth of life. Requirements will change. You cannot force to the customer either. You cannot make them sign in the contract that I will not change my requirement forever. Nobody will sign it, or even they sign it, they will not do it. They just sign. But in practice, they cannot do it. So accept that requirements will change. But how would you be very adaptive, right? To allow those change of requirements, still you can deliver software reflecting the change. So we want to respond and react to the change without a lot of rework. This is the key, right? You want to make them happy, satisfy them, but then you also don't want to have to make yourself painful, right? You can be the yes man, yes miss, or yes woman, but then you stay overnight, do correcting the work, then that is not also a good idea. Okay, so this is the Agile method. What does it mean by the word Agile? When we use, why do we use the term Agile? Because Agile or agility, it means, right, by definition, it means the ability to respond rapidly to risk and to changes. So Agile methods have this purpose. Understanding the nature of software requirements that must change. So Agile method said we will live with the changing requirements. We will stay happy with the changing requirements, but how? Okay. So this is some kind of quadrant that explain where Agile methods are. If this is waterfall for this extreme, okay, it has sequential, late integration, and late testing, because in the process, right, testing phase are very late. Integration, component integration, software integration are done in the very late phase as well. Okay. So once you already done things in the very late phase, it means that changing detect at the late stage will be very painful. Okay, requires a lot of time. Okay, this is the extreme for waterfall. If we talk about iterative model, then it takes certain, take into account it is risk. It is considered to be risk driven. It's considered to be continuous integration and testing. You develop small module first, develop additional module, integrate into the small one, keep developing additional one, integrate into the small one, and keep developing. So this is iteration, right? We develop certain modules, certain component, integrate with the main one, keep developing more, integrate back to the main one, and then do the testing. So this is very continuous and iteration. Okay, so this is the two extremes of waterfall versus iteration method. Considering ceremony or kind of overhead, we want a process that, if it consider the process itself, from this left-hand side, the extreme is that we want something with light process, light documentation, okay? Only minimize them for the certain number of required one only. Compare with the high ceremony or highly well processed. including well documented. Everything is so perfect. It's like you are working on ISO document, ISO standard, right? You need a lot of documents to explain every single step, every single design, every rationale you make. And it must be traceability. It is good, actually. There are pros, there are advantages. When your software has a lot of good documentation and huge, of course, anyone who knows something about that software can learn from it, right? The design principle, design architecture, diagram, data dictionary, and then a lot of software diagrams. They are good for maintenance purpose, for other new members of the development team to learn from and then understand. And for future revision, future version development. But still it costs a lot of time. So if you have very small team, instead of dedicating the time of every member in the team to do the development task so that we can rapidly deliver the software. But then you need to allocate some time of this team to do documentation, right? Draw nice diagram, draw describe explanation. Then your team has less time on the development work. So that is the reason we consider this kind of overhead to be trade off. Okay. If you want very good documents and future maintenance, okay, you need to allocate more time, but that can be balanced. That must be balanced. How can we have little or minimum documents and minimum process and so on. Okay, so that is what Agile method aim to be. Okay, aim is positioned to be in this part. And if you can compare this diagram with this one, what are the differences? Do you see any difference? This is removed, right? The specification. Am I correct? The specification is part of also the documentation thing. So try to reduce the documentation and try to focus more on the understanding requirement and then implementing them. Because if you have to focus a lot and make the main focus here, suppose this is very important, these 3 stars, then a lot of effort has to be put there. When there are changing of the requirements, this has to be changing a lot too, not only your code, right? When I say that, oh, okay, now change the software requirement. It's not only the coding part, database part, or system related part that you have to change, but paperwork part that you have to change too, right? Every time you change the code, you reflect somehow in the paperwork. Then again, you do the change in the code and then record how this change is done in the paperwork and so on, in the design and so on. So this will be a lot of overhead and time consuming. So Agile will try to reduce this to minimum design documents. Okay. Because changing is too much. Okay, so back to the Agile manifesto. Actually, there are 4 core value statements about the 4 values. I think we already discussed this somehow, right? That there are 4 things that Agile take into consideration and consider it to be more important than the other. That is, we value individuals and interaction working together. over process and tools, not just to try to use the process mechanism too much, but make sure that we can have individuals and interactions working together. Okay. Second point, we value working software over comprehensive documentation. Third, we value customer collaboration or user collaboration over contract negotiation. And what does it mean? It means, as I already said, instead of you try to negotiate with the user that don't change the software requirement, you try to understand them, the needs, and so on, right? And accept that changes are inevitable. Okay, and then we value in the Agile responding to change over following a plan. What does it mean? This is very okay. This is very difficult. In some of these cases, like this one and this one, this could be very difficult depending on the nature of your project. For example, if it is government project, everything is on written paper and signed, right? Must be signed by authorized station and must be strictly followed, either in terms of the timeline, in terms of the budget, in terms of the things to deliver. If you do something that deviate from those contracts, of course it's possible, but you need to make contract amendments. And also contract amendment process may require lengthy time, lengthy effort, a lot of effort as well. Okay, but these in the new business working environment, these are likely to be favored more. Okay, try to make contract amendable easily. Try to make the plan amendable easily. Okay, based on real situation. Okay, and there are these 12 agile principles. Okay, let's go one by one just to wrap quickly. Okay, I think you already go through this. The first one, the principle number one, highest priority is to satisfy the customer. But how? Not to satisfy the customer by buying them coffee, okay? Satisfy the customer by deliver the software, valuable software, early and continuous. Not like you disappear for 1 year and then at the end you deliver something. No, that is waterfall. With Agile, every sprint or every iteration, let's say every 3 weeks, 1 month or something, you deliver something. You meet with them for some progress meeting, for some update and so on. Let them know that you're still working and let them know that there are issues or not, and demonstrate them, show them something, deliver the working software for them to try and use. This is what Agile would do. Continuous development and delivery. Second point, welcome changing requirements. This is what we already mentioned. Requirements will be changing. Accept it, welcome it. Okay. Because the change will make the customer happy and they will use the software continuously. They will continue using the software. If you don't accept change, they stop using the software. They just don't use it. Number 3, deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale. That is what I already mentioned. Every 2-3 weeks, every month or something, deliver them something, demonstrate them something working. Number 4, business people and developers work together daily throughout the project. Keep communication, keep working together, keep the stakeholder involving in the project, period. Okay, number 5, what is it? Build projects around motivated individuals. Give them environment and support them they need, their needs, and trust them to get the job done. So give supporting environment, supporting mechanism. So your team will be motivated to work. If everything is so difficult, right? You get demorale of working in the project. Number 6, promote sustainable development. Sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Okay, make sure that whatever you provide, right, can continue. Not like only the first month, everything is so nice, but later on, everything is gone. Okay, the entire project period for everyone, the support and everything should be given. And then the team will remain motivated to accomplish the project goal. This is very important. Team working spirit is very important. How can you promote team working? If you're working alone, you just manage yourself to be motivated, right? But if you work with 4 or 5 people, how can you be sure that all these 4 or 5 people, or even bigger in real team, all are giving 100% of their devotion, commitment to the project? This is the thing. Okay. Number 7, working software is primary measure of progress. We can say that your project progress only when you can demonstrate something working to the user, to the system, to the delivery, to their environment. Something only working on your machine doesn't count. If you cannot deploy anything working on your machine to something working for the customer, they don't care, right? You cannot just say, oh, everything is now working fine on my machine, but I cannot make it work on the company's machine. Then it's 0. It's not 90% or something, it's 0. Because for the customer, if they cannot get anything working, it's 0. And for software, it is called a waste. A waste in the process. Consider a manufacturing pipeline. You have raw material, right? From station 1 to station 2 until you get the final product done. If you don't get the final product done that is sellable, everything from stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before stage 10. Suppose now the company bankrupt. You need to stop everything. What can be turned into value is just finished product stage 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are considered just waste. Waste of the time, waste of the material, waste of everything. Because you cannot sell. Maybe you can sell, you can argue that, okay, we can sell as some kind of raw stuff, but that is cheap things, right? Think about manufacturing a car. Unless you have the final product, which is the car to be sold to a customer, before you have just a wheel, you have just the body and everything, it has less value compared to having a complete car. So everything is nothing unless you get the final working product for your user. Okay, that is number 7. So working software is a measure of progress. So suppose your software has 10 components and each component is about the same size, 10%, right? 10 components means if you finish completely one component, you can count your progress to achieve 10%. You complete 2 components or 2 features, you achieve 20%. But a work in progress of the components Even you have all components, almost, I'm almost done, but not done yet. You cannot count in Agile. You cannot count to be a progress at all. Okay. Okay, number 8. The most efficient and effective method for in terms of communication, okay, basically for communication purpose here. Agile focus on face-to-face conversation because actually you understand the people you talk to the most when you are with them. Seeing their face, maybe seeing their eyes, seeing their facial expression, seeing whether they're happy or they're unhappy. Okay, that's very important. They value team working, communication, human conversation, and so on. Have you ever had some experience, maybe with friends, through some kind of writing? You may misunderstand somebody easily through writing, right? You may think the person get mad, or you may think the person is unhappy or something because you see only the message. Right? Okay, number 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhance agility. So it's not only about the soft matters, soft skill ways to handle communication, make things happy, make people happy or something, but also Agile value technical excellence and good design as well. But it just reduces the paperwork, okay? Doesn't mean that you can make something bad because you want it fast. Fast doesn't mean that it has to be bad. It can still be the high quality design, technique with highest possible technology, architecture, and so on. You should not compromise the technology and quality, okay? Because you say that, oh, I want it fast. No, Agile also put emphasis on quality design, quality technology, technical excellence. Simplicity is essential. Okay. And then best architecture requirements and designs emerge from self-organizing team. Okay, this is to promote everyone to be the master of themselves. Everyone manage their time. Not in Agile team, there should not be kind of bossy persons like you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Everybody will volunteer to contribute and commit to the work. This is the spirit of Agile team. Number 12, and we will see how can we encourage those kind of spirits, okay, promote those spirits. At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, tune and adjust behavior accordingly. So it's a teamwork. There will be kind of every iteration is not only focusing on the work and not focusing only on working with customers to produce the working software, but it focuses also on the team communication, team development, teamwork, and team motivation through, it is called retrospective. There will be a process of retrospective that the team will perhaps share and reflect what is good, what we should keep doing, because this is so excellent thing that we have done. The whole team have been doing great because of this kind of working culture in the team. And some of the things that proved to be not turn out to be good, then we agree among the team that we will stop doing that. Okay, something like that. That is kind of thing to share and learn with each other in the team. So these are the 12 Agile principles. And then we will learn in more detail when we practice Agile. Okay, next is kind of list of agile methodologies that have been kind of invented, developed, or proposed or used? Actually, there are many. In this chart, remember last time we talked about the history of software engineering, okay? This is one of the era in that during the agile time, there are things such as the ISDM dynamic system development method. There are crystal families of methods. There are extreme programming, ASD adaptive software development, and so on. And what we will learn together in our class would be, we will focus more on Scrum method. Okay, and these are some lists of popular ones, okay, known ones. Extreme programming, we learn a little bit about this, how it is like. We learn Scrum, we learn the Kanban. ASD, we may not go into the detail, but just for you to know that there is such a thing. Adaptive software development, and as we said, dynamic system development method, ISDM, feature-driven development, and also agile modeling. So about extreme programming, okay, let me see. Okay, I think I will not go into the detail of these things yet, but just to very quickly tell you that what happened in these two selected methods to discuss, okay, but the detail we'll find time to discuss in more detail. But in principle, for extreme programming, this is one of the best known and most widely used agile methods as well. But nowadays, I think Scrum has been used more too. It is for sure, because when it is agile, it is iterative development. Okay. And let me look at the whole picture. Okay, maybe I use this one. We might decompose the development phase, the development of the entire software into several phases. Exploratory, meaning that we try to understand everything, okay, the big picture. You cannot develop anything if you don't grab some of the big picture understanding, right? But not detail. You need to have macro view. Micro view is later. So this is the macro view. Exploratory phase, meaning that you should understand what are supposed to be there and so on, okay, in the big picture. Then planning phase. Once we get the big picture, we can go into the planning. Oh, how can we plan things? Everything related to Agile needs some planning, okay? And good planning will be good. I mean, if you have good planning, you can manage the whole work easily. And then iteration to release, and then production, maintenance, dead phase means to close down, okay? In the exploration, you need to understand the kind of what should be there in your software. And in Agile, we will learn the concept of what is called user stories. Users will define or will tell us, we talk to users, what do you want? What kind of stories or scenarios you want the system to do? So user will tell that, oh, okay. If I look at the SIS system, I will say that, oh, my first story is about students. Students should be able to register course during the first 2 weeks. This is the user story, right? For the student, registering course and get approved by advisor within the first 2 weeks, and with some details such as not maximum, not more than 15 credits per semester or this kind of thing. So with some details, but this is the first scenario and story. Second, maybe advisor should be able to story about advisor. So advisor should be able to reject or approve the registration based on the appropriateness, the study background, performance of students, whether we encourage students to take this course or not. Okay, and later, there could be a number of stories. Then the planning means that which stories we should first implement. We take in the planning, prioritizing that, oh, there are lists of features and things that the system should implement, should develop. Then which one first? And in order to do the first story, what are the details? Such as we need to analyze and understand that story carefully, right? We need to make proper design, either database design. How can we store student registration in our database system? What's supposed to be the testing case, test case? We test when the student forget to register. Do they have alert mechanism? We test when the student try to register more than 15 credits. Will the system allow? We test when the student try to register less than the minimum credit. Will the system allow? These are test cases that have to be designed as well and perform the test and so on. So this is the phase of development. Then we release just that story of student registering into the system. And then, okay, they can have the student try, use, feedback, whether they like it or not, whether we have something wrong or not. And then do and so on. And then continue in the iterative manner because the software is not yet fully functioning, right? Not every feature has been complete. So go into this iteration of doing one by one and complete and release, and complete and release and so on. This is the general life cycle. But what is special with extreme programming is that it has something that is called pair programming as part of extreme programming method. Anyone heard of pair programming? What is pair programming? Who knows what is pair programming? Can you share with me? Where is it? Where is my pencil? Okay. No. Anyone have heard of pair programming? Nobody? You have? In engineering, but not in programming? Okay, no problem. We will learn some techniques of pair programming as well, but we are not implementing full extreme programming method, but we will learn how pair programming is done. It's kind of useful and could be beneficial for us to apply it for certain cases, okay? But it takes some time. It needs two programmers to do the same coding together. That is why it is called pair programming. So you are programming in pair. That's it. Maybe you can, one small assignment, short exercise, search and try to understand what is pair programming. Okay. How does it work? There are a person called driver and there is another person called navigator in the pair programming. Okay. Anyway, in summary, if we compare XP with the Agile principles, the extreme programming, it is for sure incremental development because we develop one or certain set of stories, we call stories at a time and deliver them and then incrementing, developing more and more. Okay. Promote customer involvement. Okay. Need customer to engage with the team, to tell the requirement, the story, and to approve or accept the final, not the whole final, but the release, okay, the delivery of each round. And people, not process, change, and so on. Okay. Next is the Scrum. We will practice Scrum for sure. So I keep Scrum to be explained when we will do the practice. But this is the Scrum things that we will learn and practice. Okay. Okay. I think key points. Okay. Let's summary. Key points for Agile. Okay. Incremental software development method. Rapid, for sure, software development. Frequent releases of software. These are the key things for Agile in terms of delivery. And in terms of process, try to reduce and minimize any process overhead that could involve and could minimize. At the same time, minimizing documentation and paperwork. Produce high quality software is also the top priority too. Okay, so okay, this has to be deleted because it's not listening anymore. I changed.